Well, this fall, the Conservative Party will have a new leader. And so far, we've heard from 3 of the 6 candidates fighting for that role. Joining us now in studio is Patrick Brown. Good morning to you. Nice to have you on the show
Great
this
to be
morning.
with you.
All right, let's jump right in. I mean, one of the major issues the Conservatives have faced in the past, in the last election, is really this idea of a unified party. Right? Scott Aitchison, Jean Charest, and Roman Baber have all told us they're the person for the job. What is your plan to unify the party?
I think one of the frustrations with the party is disappointment over losing elections. They've won the popular vote, but they've been unable to win where we're sitting right now in the GTA, in suburban Canada. And if you want to bring the party together, the best way to do so is to win, to present a compelling vision to Canadians that can win not just in Western Canada, rural Canada, but win right here in the GTHA, and I believe I can do that.
In your book, Your Time in Ontario Politics, you called Conservatives, quote, dinosaurs. You now say, maybe that was the wrong terminology to use. Do social conservatives have a place in a Patrick Brown-led Conservative Party?
Listen, I've been clear that I am not going to revisit abortion debates. I'm pro-choice, and it's not going to be part of my government's agenda to revisit some of those debates. I've marched in pride parades because love is love is love. Having said that, there are policy positions that social conservatives have that have a lot of merit that I'm certainly open to working with. I look at making adoptions easier, something that Dr. Leslie Lewis has put forward. There's some great ideas. And so, yeah, I'm willing to hear perspectives from all corners of the Conservative family, work with all Conservatives, but I think it's important to state where we stand on some of these issues, and I've stated very clearly where I stand.
Well, I want to ask you about that, because very clearly some would argue that you haven't been so clear. And in fact, you've been flip-flopping on some issues. So let's talk about abortion to start. Also the federal carbon tax. In 2012, you voted in favor of motion 312, which would have ordered a review when life legally begins. And now you say you're pro-choice. And under your leadership, you wouldn't revisit that debate. You just mentioned that here. And then when you were leader of Ontario PC, you supported carbon pricing. And now you say you oppose the recent carbon hike. So I think a lot of people are going, okay, wait. So it feels like you're flip-flopping a little bit, running up in elections, you're saying one thing, then you get in office and you're changing your tune.
Well, I think you're talking about a private member's study from 10 years ago. I've been very clear on these positions in every leadership debate and every media interview of where I stand. In terms of the carbon price, I wrote an op-ed even before this leadership race started saying this is the wrong time to hike the carbon tax. Justin Trudeau did so on April Fool's Day, on April 1st. He's tone deaf to the affordability challenges we're facing in this country. I put forward some ideas of how we can combat climate change, but not having to use a tax as every tool to do so. I think it's important for Conservatives to have a debate and a discussion in terms of how we can support the Canadian energy sector, but at the same time, make sure that we are helping in the global fight against climate change. Let me give you an example. You know, you look at Canadian LNG. Right now, we could be exporting Canadian LNG to China. China is responsible for 30% of the global emissions, and they're dependent on coal-fired generation. It's actually the Canadian energy sector that can help China get off the highest forms of emissions.
So what does your brand of conservatism look like?
I would say pragmatic, a kitchen table conservatism, inclusive, that we're going to fight for every Canadian. My brand of conservatism is it doesn't matter who you love, where you're born, the color of your skin, what God you worship. We're going to fight for every Canadian, and we're going to welcome them in our Conservative family. And it's why I've been so clear that on issues of equality, on issues that are related to the Charter, that we have to stand up and be counted. It's why I came out against Bill 21 in Quebec that attacks religious freedom. It's why I'm opposing Bill 96 that diminishes language rights. I think it's important that a conservative leader, a modern conservative leader, very clearly fights for every Canadian.
Well, who's fighting for you, though, when you lose 2 endorsements from 2 Conservative MPs who had originally endorsed you? They are now putting their support behind Pierre Poilievre. And now we have Conservative MP, Michelle Rempel-Garner, also stepping down from your campaign. So how do you respond to the changes?
Michelle Rempel's a friend. She's been courted to run for the Alberta Conservative leadership. She continues to support my campaign, not as a co-chair, but we wish her well. I think it speaks to the quality and the caliber of the supporters I have on my team, that they're being courted for other positions. If she ends up being premier, obviously that would be a key friend and an ally. But I think one of the reasons that we're facing sort of this scorched earth approach from the Poilievre campaign towards my campaign is because they're worried. You know, we signed up over 150,000 memberships that blew previous records out of the water. And as much as the Poilievre campaign tries to put on an air of confidence, they wouldn't be resorting to these negative attack ads if they were really as confident as they say.
Well, Patrick Brown, we do appreciate you stepping into the studio and spending some time with us this morning. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I do want to mention your...
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.